And those dangerous wildfires raging across Hawaii right now. The Coast Guard says it's already rescued multiple people who jumped into the ocean as an escape from those wild flames. Our NBC News reporters are following all of the latest developments, but I want to start right there, talking about Maui, dealing with those terrifying wildfires. Maura Barrett is following this story for us. What more can you tell us, Maura?
Well, Chris, it's really a dire situation. Just about 8 a.m. right now in Hawaii, so we're finally starting to get some updates from officials. But unfortunately, because we're seeing thousands of people without power, downed power lines on the roads, downed trees, there's a lot of issues with communication. So in terms of firm details about how many injured there might be or any other communications about rescue efforts and firefighting efforts is a little limited right now. And that's due to big part, there is a massive Category 4 hurricane hundreds of miles south of the island chain, but the winds that are whipping from that hurricane are what are fanning those flames so severely right now, and why we're seeing this wildfire spread mainly on both in Maui and an area of concern on the Big Island as well. Active evacuations ordered by officials, and this is something that's very atypical to see in Hawaii. It is coming up on their fire season, but something this massive, officials say, is absolutely unprecedented because of those winds from the hurricane. Firefighting helicopters are grounded. They're unable to fly, which means they're unable to drop water in an effort to contain those flames, as well as get a full scope of what the fires actually look like. You mentioned those 12 people rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard. It paints a picture of how severe this damage really could be once we get a better look on the ground. People literally escaping into the ocean to get away from those smoke and flames. And right now, officials are warning that they will have that red flag evacuation order, those emergency orders, in effect through at least early morning hours tomorrow, Chris.
What a terrifying situation. Maura Barrett, thank you. And by the way, we've got much more on that catastrophic scene in Maui, because we'll be speaking with someone who's been driving through the island. That's ahead. More on that breaking news out of Hawaii, where ravaging wildfires are engulfing Maui right now. Clint Hansen of Maui Real Estate Radio recorded this drone footage of a terrifying scene as it developed through the night and into the early morning hours of this morning. Clint Hansen joins me now. He's been driving around trying to help people and bring them supplies. First of all, good for you, but what are you seeing? How bad is it?
This is the worst I've ever seen any fire on the island. It does happen from time to time where we can get some inclement weather. Maui's known for good weather. It's been 180 years since we've been hit by a hurricane, but when summertime comes and things dry out and we have high winds, a perfect storm happens, and that's definitely what's been happening in the last 24 hours. I was in Lahaina early and late afternoon. I got out late afternoon barely by taking dirt roads and getting back home to Kihei, only to see the fire start and read the person-by-person accounts of houses being destroyed, landmarks being burnt to the ground, buildings that are hundreds of years old or over 100 years old gone. It's really kind of shocking to think about the places where you grew up to just no longer exist, to be fearful about your friends and fearful of your friends, whether or not they're still alive because you can't communicate with them. Watching footage of people burned alive in the streets and people panicking for their lives as they drive through flash points where if they were to step out of the car, there's very little chance of them surviving. It's terrifying. I've been taking footage in the part of the island where I live in Kihei. There's actually been 3 major fires on the island, and up country where my parents' family home is, there's fires all around it on Olinda. And then in Kihei, I was taking footage and giving nightly updates. Had about 5 updates through the night so people knew what was happening with the fire. Fortunately, Kihei appears to be spared at this time, but that's what they thought about Lahaina yesterday. They thought they had the fire under control, but with these winds, it whipped up real fast. People didn't have time, and we don't have the numbers, but I think complete families are gone now. People are running to the ocean to escape jumping into it, getting rescued by the Coast Guard. They've mobilized all civilian boat owners to go out there last night, not anymore, to try to rescue people. I'm trying to get out there to check on friends, family, pets of friends, but there's no way. The road is just completely clogged, and I don't blame them in the least, because it would just be pandemonium in an already chaotic situation. I'm right now at the Maalaea Harbor trying to find a way to get out there on a boat, but it appears that everything's pretty much locked down here as well.
So, Clint, when is the last time you were able to talk to your friends who are in Lahaina? And is everyone in your family okay?
My direct family's okay. My parents are just in the mainland briefly. My wife and kids are in Kihei, away from the worst of the danger. And like I mentioned, the fire has changed direction in Kihei and doesn't appear to be going to be a problem. But obviously, with those multiple hotspots of the most recent video, if they start up again, it could be just as bad as Lahaina.
And when did you speak to your friends last who are in Lahaina, and what did they have to tell you?
Most of the people I talked to work and have been servicing Lahaina, firefighters, boats going out there, and some of the other people's footage shows the harbor completely devastated. I mean, it's gone. I don't know how a boat can burn when it's sitting on the water, but that just shows the severity of how fast and hot it came. The harbor is gone. It's not there. Every boat was burning. I have no idea how bad it could be where the boats even burn. So I'm trying to get out there and discover, but with the poor reception and all the towers being burnt down, there's very little communications getting out. I've had friends, they jumped on their mopeds to go out there to try to get to their family, that they fear the worst. I mean, when you see, some auntie on the ground, probably dead, and you can't get in contact with your family, you just think the worst. And we're doing what we can to survive and find out what is going on with our loved ones, but we're not getting a lot of information out right now.
How are you doing, Clint?
I'm lucky. I am very fortunate. I don't really know how Maui's going to survive this. We already have a crisis in housing, and with so much housing being gone and being the most desirable place on the planet to live, it's not looking like it's going to be a good situation. We've already, the governor has claimed it being a state of emergency for housing alone, nothing to do with the fire. And now we have a large swath of homes. We are at a shortfall of 10,000 homes on the island, and this is before the fire. And there's only 140,000 residents that live here. So I have no idea how we're going to face the future, but our politicians need to get together and come up with rapid options for housing. There needs to be a solution, because we're about to lose a large portion of our population. Hopefully it's not to death, but they may have to move out or face living out of their cars, because there's not going to be a lot of other options.
Clint Hansen, I know that there are things you need to do now, and I just want to say that we're all thinking about you and everyone on the island, and especially to your family and friends. I hope you're able to be in touch with them, and if you have an opportunity, we'd love to speak with you again and get an update, but we wish you luck, which seems like very little under these circumstances, but we do thank you so much for coming on the program. Clint Hansen, thank you.
Thank you. Aloha.